This video will describe the features that are associated with the various types of phrases that we have. As I mentioned in a previous video, we have noun phrases, verb phrases, adjective phrases, and adverb phrases. And for example, here's a noun phrase, and you can see the features associated with every noun phrase. To see all of the features and their values, let's come over here, and we'll go first to noun phrases. So noun phrases have these features. The first one is sequence. Not in a sequence. If there's only one agent or one patient, it'll be tagged as not in a sequence. If there are two agents, for example, one will be tagged as first coordinate and one will be tagged as last coordinate. If there are three or more, then the ones between the first and last will all be tagged as a coordinate. That's what we mean by sequence. Semantic role. We intentionally chose a small set of semantic rules. Different linguists, some linguists use a very large set with very descriptive names, others use a small set. We chose a small set. We have most agent-like. In other words, the agent. Not all sentences have agents. For example, Jesus is God. There's no agent there, but the NP containing Jesus is the most agent-like, the most patient-like state, a state NP. For example, Jesus is God. We would put God in a state noun phrase. Or John is in Africa. A source noun phrase. Usually in English, it'll be from. John received the ball from Jim. A destination noun phrase. Usually in English, it'll be to. John gave the ball to Jim. Instrument. John cut the fish with a knife. Addressee. Mr. President, you said something. Beneficiary. John worked for Jack. And some noun phrases, they're embedded or they're in oblique, so they're not applicable. They're semantic role. There will be times when you might disagree with the semantic roles that we assign to a particular event. We know that's somewhat controversial. What's important is that our analysis is consistent. So every time there's a particular verb, all the noun phrases around it are consistently tagged with the same semantic roles. And whether you agree with this or not, you can write rules that take the values that we've supplied and convert them to however your target language needs. So these are the semantic roles that we include in the semantic representations. Implicit information has these values. Description of geographical name. For example, in the book of Daniel, it talks about Susa. And we add the city named Susa, so that people who don't know what Susa is, they'll know it's a city. It's not a valley, it's not a mountain, it's not a desert, it's not a country, but it's a city. So that will be it's an embedded noun phrase, and you can choose to exclude these or include them if you want. Optional agent of passive. We always include the agent for every event, whether it's in the original text, the agent might not be supplied. The Greek or Hebrew text may not have provided an agent, but we will provide an agent. But it will be tagged as optional. So your grammar can either include them or exclude them. And then sometimes we include implicit arguments. Thing-thing relationship. Okay, there's only one value initially, and that's not applicable. Here, you define the values that are pertinent to your language, and then you can write grammar rules that look at these values and provide the right morphology or put the noun phrases in the proper order. But again, we only include one value here, not applicable, and unspecified. But you provide these other values. And relativized, just no or yes. The man that John gave a book to, that to noun phrase will be tagged as relativized, tagged as yes. And those are all the values for noun phrases. Then there are spares. Then there's one more that is provided by a rule that you can activate. These are the grammatical relations that we provide that are provided by the rule. You can add more. Heavy oblique. So if the oblique includes a relative clause, you might want to position a heavy oblique somewhere else, etc. So these are values that you can provide. And those are all the values for noun phrases. For verb phrases, there's only one, sequence, and first coordinate, last coordinate, and coordinate. But again, we only have one event per proposition, so these aren't actually used. You can use them. In the semantic representations, they're all tagged as not in a sequence, because we don't put verbs in a sequence, but you might want to. So these values are here. And then you can add other values as well. If you front, when you're forming questions, you might front part of the verb phrase. For example, did John go to the store? That part of that verb phrase, the did, can be put into a question VP or whatever you want to call it. So you can add additional values here. And then the others are just spares. For adjective phrases, there are two, just sequence and usage. Sequence is again first coordinate, last coordinate, and coordinate. There may be multiple adjective phrases. They would be tagged as first and last and coordinate. And then usage is either attributive, meaning it modifies an adjective, or predicative, meaning it has the verb to be, or the verb to become. And the rest are spares. And for adverb phrases, there's only one, the sequence, first coordinate, last coordinate, and coordinate. And the rest are spares.